on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. Many of you just heard me on Brenda Hill's show here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. And we talked about African American History Month coming up on February 1st. And we talked about Dr. Carter G. Woodson and a lot of history as well. Voter suppression, Jim Crow era laws. So we had a good discussion. I broadcasted here on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. So you can go back and watch that. All right, welcome to the African History Network show. It is Monday, January 31st, 2022, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. So this has been a very, very busy news day. Some of you who follow me on Facebook saw some of the articles that I posted today, and I've been busy working on content for my online classes. We have class number 1 starting up Saturday, February 5th and February 6th of Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school, and from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So visit AfricanHistoryNetwork.com for more information on the online classes that I teach. But there was a story out of some of these stories we're going to get to tomorrow. But there was a story dealing with HBCUs, and we saw this back on January 6th also. But Howard University, Alabama, Albany State University, Howard University, Albany State University, and a few other HBCUs received bomb threats today. Okay, now everybody is safe. But this is something that's very troubling. We're going to talk about it here on today's show. Howard, Albany State University among HBCU campuses targeted by bomb threats. At least 6 historically Black colleges and universities, including Howard University in Washington, D.C., and Southern University and A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, received bomb threats on Monday, prompting lockdowns and police investigations. Okay, now just a second here. We just lost contact with the radio station. So just a minute, let me call back in to the station. Just stand by. All right. So we've got that story. And then now we know back on January 6, 2022, at least 8 historically black colleges and universities received bomb threats as well. Don't know necessarily right now if there's a connection between the 2 dates or anything like that, but we'll talk some about this story. ABC News also has a piece dealing with this as well. Okay, let me connect back to the radio station just a second here. Now we dropped a call. I need to call back. Stand by. All right, it's Michael. We dropped the call. All right, we're back. We dropped the call. Dropped the call with Skype. Sorry about that. Okay, so I was talking about the HBCUs that received bomb threats today, and Howard, Albany State University among HBCU campuses targeted by bomb threats. And we saw this also back January 6th as well, 2022. I don't know if there's a connection between what happened, the bomb threats on January 6th and those today, but we're going to talk about this some today. NBC News has this piece Howard, Albany State University among HBCU campuses targeted by bomb threats. Several historically Black colleges and universities faced similar bomb threats on January 5th. January 5th. I'm looking at the article here from January 6, 2022 from NBC News. So the bomb threats were on January 5th. Okay, so we'll talk about this story. And then there was also a piece we did not get a chance to get to on Sunday show. So we had an extended show Sunday. There was maintenance taking place at 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF, so they didn't have live shows. I broadcasted anyway on my social media platforms and on my Blog Talk Radio channel. So you can visit our website. Visit our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. You can watch our show from Sunday, January 30th. Ended up doing 2.5 hours. But one of the stories I wanted to talk about, we did not get a chance to deal with. And this deals with Samuel L. Jackson. And we also talked about Janet Jackson and the Janet Jackson documentary on Sunday show. So go back and watch Sunday show. Samuel L. Jackson, actor, Samuel L. Jackson, pitchman for Capital One credit cards, was expelled from Morehouse College in the 1960s for holding Martin Luther King Jr.'s father hostage. Now, this was Martin Luther King Sr. This was during a protest where the students at Morehouse College held board members of the Board of Governors of Morehouse College hostage, demanding changes in the curriculum and demanding certain changes with the college. We're going to talk about this story. I posted about this a few days ago on our Facebook page, and it got over, I think, something like 1,500 likes or something like that. So we did not get a chance to talk about this on our show Sunday because we had an extended show Sunday, but we're going to talk about it today. Now, another topic that we ran out of time to talk about yesterday was this segment here from Roland Martin Unfiltered when I was on Friday, January 28th. And I also saw Reverend William Barber on, I think he was on Alex Witt's show on MSNBC, because I watch all the shows on MSNBC. MSNBC is on right now. It's just muted. I do research all day and watch MSNBC, the Black News Channel, and Roland Martin Unfiltered. Faith leaders are calling on the NFL to move the 2022 Super Bowl out of Arizona over the state of Arizona's threats to voting rights. Faith leaders, there's a letter, it's a group of more than 200 faith leaders, including Reverend William Barber, from across the country, who are calling on the NFL and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to pull the 2023 Super Bowl out of Arizona over the state of Arizona's restrictive voting laws and attempts among Republican state legislators to overturn election results and consolidate power. Now, if you remember, back in 1991, the Super Bowl, the 1993 Super Bowl, was moved in 1991 out of Arizona, and this was over Arizona's failure to recognize Dr. King Day as a federal holiday. So we're going to talk about that story, and then this other one that we didn't get a chance to get to, we're going to try to squeeze this in. This deals with January 25th, 1941, A. Philip Randolph and the March on Washington, because A. Philip Randolph originally called for a March on Washington in 1941 against President Roosevelt, because Roosevelt refused to desegregate the Department of Defense jobs in the federal government. Okay, we're going to talk about this. January 25th, 1941, A. Philip Randolph calls for a March on Washington. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Stand by. Okay. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for our new online classes that start up on Saturday, February 5th and February 6th. We have class number 1 starting up, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is a 10-week online class. Class number 1 starts up Saturday, February 5th. Okay, the class is on sale, $80, regularly $130. We also have a bundle pack where you can register for both classes for $120. That is a $260 value. And there's a bunch of bonus lectures you get from me also included. We're going to post the information here, right here on the thread of the broadcast. As soon as you register, there's bonus content you can start watching. When you register for Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, you'll get the 15 bonus lectures from me also when you register for that class. All right, stand by. Back from break in 2 minutes. On commercial break, stand by. African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, January 31st, 2022, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment, okay? And be sure and go back and watch our show from Sunday, because we had an extended show, ended up doing 2.5 hours. So we had a really good show on Sunday. We talked about the Janet Jackson documentary as well. We may talk some more about it tomorrow. I mean, there's so much to the documentary, and there's so much information to cover as well, because this news is nonstop, and this was a very busy news day also. Okay, I want to deal with this first story dealing with HBCUs. And I'm going to send you this clip here. Shakita, cue this up. This is from NBC News dealing with this story. So there's I was looking at this piece today, and we posted this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Howard, Albany State University among HBCU campuses targeted by bomb threats. Okay, this is from today. Now, we know this happened January 5th, 2022, but the bomb threats happened today as well. Now, at least 6 historically Black colleges and universities, including Howard University in Washington, D.C., and Southern University and A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, received bomb threats on Monday, January 31st, 2022, prompting lockdowns and police investigations, and police investigations. Now, other schools that reported bomb threats included Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, Albany State University in Georgia, Bowie State University in Maryland, and Delaware State University in Dover, according to university officials and social media posts. Now, at least 8 historically Black colleges and universities faced similar threats on January 5th, 2022, all of which were unfounded. All of those threats, January 5th, were unfounded, officials said. Now, Howard University spokesperson Frank Tramble confirmed that the university received a bomb threat Monday morning. Washington and Howard police, Washington, D.C. and Howard police issued an all-clear message after an investigation, Howard spokesperson Frank Tramble said. In the statement, Frank Tramble said, "Our priority is the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff, and we vehemently condemn all actions that threaten the safety of our community. The Mordecai Wyatt Johnson administration building and surrounding area are now safe for regular business and access." Now, if we look at Southern University and Delaware State University, representatives for those universities confirmed that the schools were under lockdown. Hours later, police in Daytona Beach issued an all-clear message in the wake of the threat at Bethune-Cookman University. A spokesperson for Southern University said classes have been canceled and students are to remain in their dorm rooms until an all-clear is issued. University operations will be suspended until further notice, and campus entry will be limited at this time. Daytona Beach police asked the public not to enter the campus at Bethune-Cookman University. Here's a tweet from Daytona Beach police. It says, "Update, we have cleared the campus of any bomb threat. Classes at Bethune-Cookman have been canceled for the day. We're asking the public to not come onto the BCU campus, Bethune-Cookman University campus, for the rest of the day unless it's absolutely necessary." Okay, unless it's absolutely necessary. Now, I want to go to this clip here from NBC News, NBC News Now, and this is from today. This deals with the bomb threats. Let's go to clip number 1, Shakita. Okay. All right. We'll go to clip number 1 in just a second. Calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number.
Me and my roommate. Students in dorms at Bowie State University spent most of the morning and early afternoon under a shelter-in-place order after a bomb threat was made to the university. Classes switched to virtual. Staff teleworked.
Every inch of the Bowie State University campus is being scanned by canines and searched by our investigators.
Police say just before 6 a.m., the Bowie City Police Department received a call threatening to bomb the university. Similar calls went to Howard University and a number of other historically Black colleges. Eventually, no devices were found. All were cleared of threats, and no one was injured.
It's unfortunate that our historically Black colleges and universities are being targeted in this way. We are a gem here in Prince George's County, producing excellent students, and it's very unsettling, very disturbing to have our students subjected to this.
We're just trying to get education just like everybody else, so I just feel like, I don't know, just do something better with your day than try to just ruin everybody else's.
Who is responsible and why is still under investigation. Meanwhile, President Imhotep says if the threat was racially motivated, it won't distract this institution from its mission.
We've been here for over 150 years providing education, outstanding, excellent education to our students, and that's our mission. So no, we will not be deterred.
There was a similar threat made to HBCUs about a month ago. Now, this incident will be a part of that ongoing investigation. Bowie State University will return to in-person learning tomorrow. In Bowie, I'm Tracy Wilkins, News 4.
Okay, so that's from NBC News Now and News 4 there on location at Bowie State University. ABC News also has NBC News also has this piece: 6 HBCUs received bomb threats Monday. This is the second time this month HBCUs were targeted with bomb threats. This is from January 31st, 2022. If we go back to the piece from NBC News here, I want to go back to that one. Okay, Howard, Albany State University among HBCU campuses targeted by bomb threats. So if we go back to this piece here, they speak with one of the students. Ashley Fields, 21 years old, is the editor-in-chief of Howard's student newspaper, The Hilltop. And Ashley said bomb threats are common in the area, adding that the latest incident is a reminder for students to stay alert. Quote, as a student, it just reminds you to be aware and definitely be cautious of your surroundings, Ashley Fields said. After Howard's second bomb threat this month, Ashley Fields said she hopes authorities can look at the issue more deeply. She said, it's unfortunate. I hope things get explained to us as students as well, too, because that is pretty scary to hear. All right, now, after the earlier bomb threats this month on January 5th, the FBI said it would investigate. In a statement on Monday, the FBI said it is taking action after the latest threats were reported. Now, once again, the bomb threats from January 5th, 2022 were unfounded. Doesn't mean you don't investigate, of course, but luckily nobody was hurt, at least physically. They were unfounded. Quote, the FBI is aware of a series of bomb threats around the country, and we are working with our law enforcement partners to address any potential threats. It said in an emailed statement, quote, as always, we would like to remind members of the public that if they observe anything suspicious, to report it to law enforcement immediately. So that's a statement from the FBI. Check out this piece here from NBC News. Howard, Albany State University among HBCU campuses targeted by bomb threats. Now we know after the shooting at Oxford High School, the Oxford, Michigan High School in late November 2021, we know there was a rash of threats on schools and bomb threats on schools, things like this in the Michigan area, but it spread across the country also. Okay, now if we look at this piece here from ABC News, and we're coming up here on a break, we'll deal with this piece here on the other side of the break, and also we'll talk about Samuel L. Jackson. When he was expelled in the 1960s from Morehouse University for holding Dr. King's father hostage. We'll talk about that, and we'll get to these other stories as well. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Okay, who still needs to register for the online, new online classes we have starting on Saturday and Sunday? Class number 1 starts up Saturday and Sunday. Okay, we got Fly Girl here, Alvin in Pensacola, Florida. We've got my aunt Offset. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have the information right on the homepage. The bonus lectures you're going to get from me also. Get them in digital format. Right on the homepage, scroll down. And from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement of Black Power, 1865 to 1968, starts up Sunday, February 6th, 2022. And Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, starts up Saturday. Okay, stand by. Saturday, February 5th, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, stand by. Back from break in 2 minutes. Stand by. Back. We're on commercial break. Oh, damn, we just dropped this call. Hold on, we lost connection with the radio station. Stand by. Okay, back from break in 1 minute. Yes, Michael. I dropped the call. Yeah.
The Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, January 30th. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, January 31st, 2022, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so right before the break, I was talking about the news dealing with the HBCUs. I want to go to this piece quickly here from ABC News also. And we're going to hear more about this and still want to get to the bottom of who's making these bomb threats. Okay. 6 HBCUs received bomb threat on Monday, January 31st. This is the second time this month HBCUs were targeted with bomb threats. So, okay, so Howard University, Bowie State, Bethune-Cookman, we talked about that. And all right, just a second. All right, the computer's freezing up on me. The FBI is aware of the series of bomb threats and is working with law enforcement to address the potential threats. The acting deputy director of the ATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, Thomas Chittum, also said that agents from the Bureau are responding to the reports. We can confirm that ATF has responded, Thomas Chittum told reporters on a call Monday. Of course, it is a federal crime to use interstate facilities to make a bomb threat, and so ATF will provide our investigative expertise and support to that investigation. But obviously, the facts are preliminary and unfolding. End quote. All right. Albany State University in Georgia received a notice of a bomb threat to the academic buildings on its campus. As law enforcement officials investigate, all ASU campuses remain closed, and employees and students were told not to report to campus. All right, Bowie State University in Maryland is also investigating a bomb threat with bomb technicians from the Maryland State Fire Marshal. The campus remains closed as canines conduct sweeps. As canines conduct sweeps of university buildings. Okay, just a second. Hold on. We dropped the call. Okay, we're still connected. Okay, good. All right, stand by. All right, so check out this article here, also from ABC News. 6 HBCUs received bomb threats through threats Monday. All right, now I want to go to this other story here. We did not get a chance to talk about this on yesterday's show. So watchtheyard.com had a good story dealing with Samuel L. Jackson, okay, who we know from many movies and the Star Wars movies and Shaft and a number of different movies. Okay, Samuel L. Jackson movies, the Quentin Tarantino movie as well, Django Unchained, and also the movie he did with Pam Grier. Okay, I was about to call her Foxy Brown. Okay, but the movie he did with Pam Grier as well. So they had this story dealing with back in the 1960s when he went to Morehouse College. And we know Morehouse is where Dr. King graduated from as well. Okay, HBCU. And there was a story. Samuel L. Jackson was expelled from Morehouse in the 1960s for holding Martin Luther King Jr.'s father hostage. Now, this was during a protest. Okay, it was a protest that students were having, and Dr. King's father was on the board of directors of Morehouse College. And I want to pull this up here. So just a second here. Give me a minute here. I thought we had this one pulled up. So this is from watchtheyard.com. And it's a very interesting story, and it deals with the protests during the 60s to get Black Studies programs on the campuses of HBCUs, because there was a protest at Howard University, of all places. And they would, if you watch Eyes on the Prize, the second series of Eyes on the Prize, it deals with from like 1965 through the 80s, they deal with that protest. Okay. So if you look at this piece here from Watch the Yard, in 1969, actor Samuel L. Jackson was expelled from the historically Black college, Morehouse College, for locking board members in a building for 2 days in a protest of the school's curriculum and governance. Okay, now he wasn't the only one involved in the protest. It was a number of students. Included in this group of people who were members of the board of directors of Morehouse College, included in this group of people who were held hostage was Martin Luther King Jr.'s father, Martin Luther King Sr., okay, who was really Michael Sr., because Dr. King's birth name was Michael, not Martin. His father makes a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, to the Holy Land, what they call the Holy Land, made a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and learned about Martin Luther and changed his name to Martin Luther and change Dr. King's name to Martin Luther, but his birth name was Michael. And if you watch if you know anything about Dr. King, you know his family called him Mike or Michael. And if you watch the 1978 movie King, which starred Paul Winfield as Dr. King and Cicely Tyson as Coretta Scott King, if you pay attention to the movie, his family members called him Mike. Like his brother, they called him Mike. Okay, that's why. But anyway, so in 1966, during the height of the civil rights movement, Samuel L. Jackson enrolled at the historically Black college, Morehouse College, named after Henry Lyman Morehouse. Henry Lyman Morehouse was the white man who Morehouse College is named after. And Henry Lyman Morehouse is the white man who came up with the concept of the talented 10th that Dr. W.B. Du Bois popularized. That's Henry Lyman Morehouse. It's not an attack on Henry Lyman Morehouse. I'm just dealing with history. So Morehouse is Dr. King's alma mater. Now, in 1968, when Dr. King was assassinated, April 4th, 1968, his body was brought to Atlanta to lie in state at Spelman College, the historically African-American women's college adjacent to Morehouse. And Spelman is named after, I think it was John D. Rockefeller's wife's name. That was her maiden name. That's who Spelman is named after, if I remember correctly here. And we'll pull up information on that also. But Lawrence Spelman Rockefeller. Yeah. Lawrence, let me see, hold on. Lawrence Spelman Rockefeller. Let me see, hold on. Back up. Let me get that for you, though. We'll pull that up for you. But anyway. Okay. Laura Spelman Rockefeller, I should say. Laura Spelman Rockefeller. All right, now we'll get you some more information on that. Laura Spelman Rockefeller. So Dr. King's body was brought to Atlanta to lie in state at Spelman College. And Samuel L. Jackson attended Dr. King's funeral as one of the ushers, okay? And then flew to Memphis, Tennessee to join an equal rights protest, equal rights protest march that changed the way Samuel L. Jackson thought, okay? In an interview with Parade magazine, Samuel L. Jackson said, "I was angry about the assassination, but I wasn't shocked by it. I was angry about the assassination of Dr. King, but I wasn't shocked by it. I knew that change was going to take something different, not sit-ins, not peaceful coexistence," end quote. Samuel L. Jackson stated this in an interview with Parade magazine about his reactions to Dr. King's death. Now, in 1964, as mentioned previously, Samuel L. Jackson and a group of activist Morehouse students held the College Board of Trustees hostage, demanding that changes be made in the curriculum of Morehouse College, and stating that they wanted more Blacks on the governing board of Morehouse College. Morehouse eventually gave in. They wanted changes to be made in the curriculum of Morehouse College, and they wanted more African Americans on the governing board of the institution. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Yeah, Jackie Brown. Stand by. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. I gotta get ready for this next segment. Stand by. Bathroom break in 2 minutes. Stand by. Okay, African American business owners, supposed to name your business here in the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Okay, who still needs to register for the online courses I teach on Saturdays and Sundays? We have them starting up. Class number 1 starts up Saturday, February 5th, 2022. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Stand by. Back for break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, January 31st, 2022, and we are live. All right, Shakita, I just sent you this clip from Roland Martin Unfiltered. Okay, cue that up. We're about to go to that next. All right, so right before the break, we were talking about this story from dealing with Samuel L. Jackson. This goes back to after Dr. King was assassinated. It goes back to 1969. It goes back to 1969. And when Samuel L. Jackson was at Morehouse College, and he and a group of students were protesting for changes to the curriculum at Morehouse College, and they wanted more African Americans on the board of directors of Morehouse. We know Morehouse is the alma mater for Dr. King, okay, for undergraduate. So there's this great story from watchtheyard.com about this. Samuel L. Jackson was expelled from Morehouse in the 1960s for holding Martin Luther King Jr.'s father hostage. Okay, so and we posted this on our fan page, the African History Network, a few days ago. We got about 1,500 likes, something like that. So in 1969, Samuel L. Jackson and a group of activists, Morehouse students, held the college's board of trustees hostage, demanding that changes be made in the curriculum at Morehouse College, and then also they wanted more African Americans on the board of directors. Okay, Morehouse eventually gave in and agreed to change, but Samuel L. Jackson was expelled for his actions. Samuel L. Jackson was expelled from college for his actions. So that summer, Samuel L. Jackson began connecting with people in the Black Power movement, including Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown, and others. In an interview with Parade magazine, Samuel L. Jackson said, "I was in that radical faction. We were buying guns, getting ready for armed struggle. All of a sudden," he said proudly, "I felt I had a voice. All of a sudden," he said, "I felt I had a voice." He said, "I was somebody, I could make a difference." But then one day, he went on to say, "My mom showed up and put me on a plane to LA. She said, 'Don't come back to Atlanta. Don't come back to Atlanta.' The FBI had been to his house, where his mother lives. The FBI had been to the house and told his mother that if he didn't get out of Atlanta, there was a good possibility that I'd be dead within a year." She freaked out. This is Samuel L. Jackson talking about this in the interview with Parade magazine. The FBI had been to the house and told her that if I didn't get out of Atlanta, there was a good possibility I'd be dead within a year. She freaked out, end quote. So Samuel L. Jackson stayed in LA working in social services for 2 years and then applied to Morehouse College and returned in January 1971 to Morehouse as a drama major. He said, quote, I decided that theater would now be my politics. It could engage people and affect the way they think. Your thoughts create feelings, your feelings create actions and behaviors, your actions and behaviors create results. He said it might even change some minds. Okay. So read the rest of this article here. Great piece from watchtheyard.com. Samuel L. Jackson was expelled from Morehouse in the 1960s for holding Martin Luther King Jr.'s father hostage. All right. Now, Samuel L. Jackson is ranked as the highest all-time box office star with over 4.57 billion total box office gross revenue and an average of 70.3 million per film. Okay, that's some big numbers. Samuel L. Jackson is ranked as the highest all-time box office star with over 4.57 billion in total box office gross revenue. All right, let's get to this last story here. So a group of faith leaders are calling on the NFL to move the 2023 Super Bowl from Arizona to somewhere else, okay, because of the voter suppression laws taking place in Arizona right now. We talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The NFL to move the 2023 Super Bowl from Arizona as the state moves to enact voter restriction laws. In this letter, more than 200 faith leaders signed with the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell after Arizona GOP lawmakers proposed a bill that would allow them to reject election results. According to the proposal, if legislators reject the results, a voter could then file in court to have the state hold a new election. In addition, if passed, the proposal would make other changes in the state's election procedures, including eliminating Arizona's early voting by mail program and requiring election workers to hand count ballots. We're seeing these type of utterly ridiculous things all across the country, Kelly. And again, what people need to understand, none of this is happenstance. This is a heavily funded, clear, precise assault on voting by the Republican Party, because they know if they can shave off 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 votes, they know they win Arizona in 2020. They win Georgia in 2020. They know that's what's going on. And so people have to understand why folks like us, why civil rights organizations are taking this so seriously, because if they are successful, as Daphne said, if they got the legislature and they got the courts, they can literally rig the elections in their favor. Even if 55 to 60% of the people in the state vote Democrat, they'll still control all the levels of power.
You're talking about how Republicans are saying if they can just get a certain number. I mean, we saw, or at least heard, the footage of Donald Trump asking the Georgia voting commissioner, however the title is, asking for the exact number of votes needed in order to beat Donald Trump.
Look, just go get me 11,000. 11,405. He ain't saying 12,000.
I was just like, that's specific. So they know exactly which numbers that they need. But on top of that, what I found most interesting about this entire situation regarding the redistricting in Texas, on top of the fact that this man just straight up said, yeah, we did it. But in his rationale, in the article that I read, it says, quote, the Voting Rights Act says if you can create a district in which and this is the important part, historically marginalized minority can elect a candidate of their choice, you must draw that district.
Okay, we're out of time here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to play the rest of this segment here. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Class number 1 starts up this weekend. Remember, right now is correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right, stand by. We're going to finish this clip here. If you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show. We have the information right on the homepage of our website. So we have the Cash App link here. This is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN Show, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael, shows my picture there. We have the Cash App link right on the homepage of our website. And these other ones here are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. That's not me, but we got the link right here. So when you click on it, it takes you right to our Cash App tag. So you don't have to worry about making any mistakes. All right. And then you can also support us through PayPal as well, paypal.me / the AHN Show. We have the link for PayPal on our website also. Okay, I want to go back to this information here dealing with this story. It came out of, this is over 200 faith leaders are calling for the 2023 Super Bowl to be moved out of Arizona, okay, to be moved out of Arizona. Now, if we go back to, so Yahoo News has this article they picked up from The Independent, and we talked about it on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, January 28th, when I was a panelist on the show. I'm usually a panelist each Friday. I'm going to go back to that clip here in just a minute. A group of more than 200 faith leaders from across the U.S. have called on the NFL and the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to pull the 2023 Super Bowl out of Arizona over the state's restrictive voting laws and attempts among Republican state legislators to overturn election results and consolidate power. Now, this is an example of leveraging our economics to enforce our political agenda, because about 70% of the NFL is African American. Okay. Now, Arizona is among several GOP-dominated states planning to overhaul election laws in the wake of the 2020 presidential election and Benedict Donald's baseless narrative that the results were stolen from him. No, you lost fair and square. Within the first few weeks of 2022, Republican legislators in Arizona have proposed effectively eliminating early and mail-in voting, and holding a special legislative session to review and potentially reject election outcomes, among other proposals. The latest measures, some of which were sponsored by GOP lawmakers who supported a spurious audit by the cyber ninjas, and the cyber ninjas had no experience in doing audits of elections, but when they got finished, took them something like 3 months to do it, supposed to take like 2 or 3 weeks. When they got finished, Joe Biden picked up votes. When the cyber ninjas got finished, Joe Biden picked up votes in Arizona. The latest measures, some of which were sponsored by GOP lawmakers who supported a spurious audit of the state's 2020 presidential election results, also would block municipalities from holding all mail elections, MAIL, all mail elections, which the vast majority of the state's voters have used for more than a decade. They've been using mail-in ballots for more than a decade. But now, since the election didn't go the way the Republicans wanted in Arizona, now they want to change all the rules and implement voter suppression so they can they can choose so the politicians can choose their voters as opposed to the voters choosing their politicians. Quote, these new laws compound earlier discriminatory voting laws passed in Arizona that restrict ballot collecting and provisional ballots, end quote, faith leaders wrote in a letter dated January 27th, 2022. The majority of the voters harmed by these laws are African American, Latino, and Native American voters, rural voters, and poor and low income voters. The majority of the voters harmed by these laws are African American, Latino, and Native American voters, rural voters, and poor and low income voters. Okay, so I want to go back to this article here. I want to go back to the segment from Roland Martin Unfiltered, and let me cue this up here because Kelly was talking, and then I come up next. Let's see. Let's go back to this clip. Just a second here.
To be the way it was. That's crazy.
Matt.
Let me back it
just
up.
get us.
If they got the legislature.
Historically marginalized minority can elect a candidate of their choice. You must draw that district. So that is the clause that they used in order to make this happen and have it within legal boundaries. But what's more insidious about this is that it implies that white people are historically marginalized minorities in Texas. I just want that to sit in for a second and how absurd that sounds altogether. The fact that he was able to basically say that white people are historically marginalized and a minority in Texas, and that's why the redistricting needed to be the way it was. That's crazy.
Matt, you're there in Texas. People, look, it's not, people go, oh, it's Texas. No, it's Texas. It's Arizona. It's Georgia. It's Florida. Mm-hmm. It's Alabama. It's Tennessee. It's Arkansas. It's anywhere where Republicans are controlled. They trying to pull the okie doke in New Hampshire.
We know what time it is. We know what time it is. We know their game plan. We know exactly what they're doing. We see what they're doing. But if I may, Roland, if you'll indulge me, first, I want to shout out Rep. Crockett, who's actually running for Congress and who is a fighter in this state. So she was too humble to say it, but we absolutely need to support that sister because we need her in the big house, as she said, fighting against this. This is the game plan. Now, what I think is interesting is there's actually precedent for this as it relates to Arizona, because back in 1991, it's my understanding that they moved the Super Bowl from Tempe, Arizona to California because Arizona failed to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So this kind of actually dovetails with our previous segment about money, right? Because here's the issue. The Super Bowl is going to generate millions of dollars. So telling the NFL, hey, unless you get this right, and because of this voting rights bill in Arizona, unless you move this, you're going to have issues. That's how you hit people in the pocket, and that's how you hold them accountable. And I'm hoping that it gets some traction because the Arizona legislature, just like all these other legislatures, are straight up saying we don't care about a certain group of people and there's nothing you can do about it. And here's our game plan to keep marginalizing them. We can't continue to allow that to happen.
Michael.
Yeah, Roland, this is another example of leveraging our economics to enforce our politics. But you only do this if you respect yourself. You only protect what you respect. You only protect what you respect. So they should definitely do this. And if the Super Bowl is not moved by 2023, when it takes place in Arizona, we should not watch it. I haven't watched the NFL game since Colin Kaepernick left the league. So I'm down with this. Absolutely. So when you just talked about Texas and the voter suppression bill in Texas, people need to go back and read the article that Ari Berman wrote for Mother Jones in about May of 2021 that dealt with Heritage Action, the Heritage Action organization, which is the sister organization to the Heritage Foundation. And Jessica Anderson, who's the CEO of Heritage Action, was caught on tape talking about how it was their organization that crafted the voter suppression bill in Georgia, Senate Bill 202, and then how they were crafting similar bills in Republican state legislatures that are being pushed by Republicans. This stuff didn't just all happen by itself. Is orchestrated and funded, and then once the bills pass the state legislature, then Heritage Action and other organizations put pressure on the governors to quickly sign the bills into law. So we have to understand how all this comes together. Just like that effort is funded, the voter suppression, the fake attacks on critical race theory is funded by dark money groups as well. So we have to get smarter and leverage our economics and force our politics and launch economic withdrawal strategies against many of these corporations who are financing many of these Republicans who are voting against our own interests and suppressing our votes.
Absolutely. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to give the information regarding the McDonald's HBCU scholarship.
Okay, so that was from Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, January 28th. Okay, I was a panelist there. Let me close this out. Just a second here. Okay, so that was from Friday, January 28th, 2022. I'm a panelist every Friday on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'm going to post this link here. And this is the link to the full show. This is the link on YouTube to the Friday, January 28th show of Roland Martin Unfiltered. It's queued up to the segment where we started talking about faith leaders. But download the Black Star Media app. You can watch Roland Martin Unfiltered there. You can watch me on Fridays there, and follow Roland on Facebook and YouTube. Roland Martin on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so that's dealing with faith leaders. We're going to let's look back here at this article from Yahoo News that they picked up from the Independent, and Reverend William Barber was on. I think he was on Alex Witt's show. Was it Alex Witt or Alicia Menendez? Because I watch all the shows on MSNBC. It was one of those he was on. I'm trying to find that clip here. Okay, I think it was Alicia Menendez show. I want to find that clip. Just bear with me here. Let me see. So Reverend William Barber was on, and he was talking about one of the things he talked about. He talked about a few different topics. One of the things he talked about, oh, this is right here. Okay, do they have it? He was dealing with the Supreme Court, and Biden nominated an African-American woman for the Supreme Court. But he also talked about this NFL protest, and I haven't heard a lot about this in the media, especially mainstream media. But it's something something extremely important. We're going to go to this clip. I'm going to let this whole clip play because Reverend William Barber is like a modern day Dr. King. And yeah, this is the right one. This is from January 30th, Alicia Menendez. Very, very good interview she did. Okay, we'll go to that here in just a second. Let me go back to this article here. Faith leaders call on NFL to move 2023 Super Bowl out of Arizona over states' threats to voting rights. And this is, once again, one of my teachers, Dr. Claude Anderson, has been talking about how we have to leverage our economics to enforce our political agenda. To have a political agenda, you have to understand your history. Okay? A people's history and culture teaches them how to deal with the problems of the past and the present and the future to meet the needs of the community. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So the reason why many of our people don't fight back, because many of our people don't think they're worth fighting for. The group of faith leaders, several of whom are from Arizona, include Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend William Barber, a prominent voting rights advocate and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, Reverend William Barber. The letter invokes Dr. King's condemnation of moral wrongs of racial discrimination, of moral wrongs of racial discrimination, a cancerous disease which prevents our democratic health from being realized, and the spectators who refuse to wield their influence, the spectators who are more concerned about being entertained, okay, than actually leveraging their economics to enforce their political agenda and to fight against these voter suppression laws that are designed to suppress the votes of African Americans, Latinos, and Hispanics, because Republicans see that that white people have a declining population in this country, and they understand the relationship between elections, getting federal judges confirmed, Supreme Court judges, and at the same time that they are passing voter restriction bills, they're also passing bills to suppress what can be taught about the history. What can be taught about history? History of racism, history of slavery, civil rights, things like this. Whoever controls the teaching of the past will control the trajectory of the future. So they're passing laws to suppress the teaching of the past and suppress the teaching of real history in school in many of these states, Republican-dominated states, and then passing laws to suppress the African American vote, Latino vote, and Hispanic vote. So they can control who gets elected, the laws put in place, but also control the federal bench and the Supreme Court. Because they're setting this up for 2022 midterm elections, trying to take back control of the House of Representatives, U.S. Senate, then take back control of the White House in 2024. This is long-term planning, and Republicans have been doing long-term planning, long-term strategy. We don't understand a lot of this stuff. The Heritage Foundation was funded by the Coors family. Yeah, $250,000 from the Coors family. So Paul Wayrick founded the Heritage Foundation in 1973, and he got, I think it was about $250,000 from the founder of Coors Beer. Okay. This is right-wing family that own Coors Beer. Right. And right now, the Heritage Foundation has this BS commercial on the Black News Channel talking about Dr. King, but your sister organization, Heritage Action, is crafting voter restriction bills and pushing them through Republican-dominated state legislatures to dismantle the legacy of Dr. King. This is the hustle they're running. Okay, so if we look at this here, hold on. Go back and read this article right here from Mother Jones, May 13th, 2021. We talked about it here on this show when this came out. Leaked video, dark money group brags about writing GOP voter suppression bills across the country. There was because I took a picture of this because I watched the Black News Channel. I took a picture of this and I sent it to Roland Martin. And I told him, I said, Roland, have you seen this BS that the Black News Channel is doing, that they're running, that the Heritage Foundation is running? They're running this commercial on the Black News Channel. Let me see something. I'm on this to see if you know how to connect the dots, then you understand this game that's being ran. This is what I'm trying to explain to people. Let me find this. Okay, I took that picture. Okay, it was right around Dr. King, but it's run. I just saw the commercial today. But if you don't know who the Heritage Foundation is, then you just sit up there. Oh, they're about history. Whose history? Let me see. Hold on. And they ran it during Dr. King Day also, during that weekend. They ran a commercial then also. Okay, I'll find it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so let's see here. Let's look at. Let me crop this. We're going to post this on my Facebook page. All right, we'll post this on my Facebook page. And then if you see this on the Black News Channel and Google the Heritage Foundation, do some research. Because when you start connecting the dots, then you start saying, oh, well, damn. Then you start saying, well, wait a second, they're funding these voter suppression bills. There, if you read this article here from May 13th, 2021. In a private meeting last month, which would be April 2021, with big money donors, the head of a top conservative group boasted that her outfit had crafted the new voter suppression law in Georgia, which is SB 202 in Georgia, and was doing the same with similar bills for Republican state legislators across the country. Quote, in some cases, we actually draft them for them, because a lot of them dumb as hell and half of them can't read, so they draft them for them. Or we have a sentinel on our behalf, give them the model legislation, so it has that grassroots from the bottom up type of vibe, but it's coming from Heritage Action for America. But a lot of our people don't know who the Heritage Foundation is or none of this stuff. So they just sit up and get screwed. The Georgia law had 8 key provisions that Heritage recommended. Jessica Anderson, the executive director of Heritage Action for America, a sister organization of the Heritage Foundation, told the foundation's donors at an April 22nd, 2021 gathering in Tucson, Arizona. In Arizona, see, Reverend William Barber knows what the hell he's talking about. Reverend William Barber knows what he's talking about. Okay? And he's calling these demons out. At a gathering in Tucson, Arizona, in a recording obtained by the Watchdog Group, documented and shared with Mother Jones, and Ari Berman wrote this article for Mother Jones. Those included the eight key provisions. This stuff is financed by the right wing. This stuff didn't just happen all of a sudden. Voter restriction bills all of a sudden. No. It's the same thing with the financing of the attack on critical race theory. That stuff didn't just pop out of the sky. Those included, okay, so 8 key provisions Heritage Action for America recommended. Those included policies severely restricting mail ballot drop boxes, preventing election officials from sending absentee ballot request forms to voters, making it easier for partisan workers to monitor the polls, preventing the collection of mail ballots, and restricting the ability of counties to accept donations from nonprofit groups seeking to aid in election administration. All of these recommendations came straight from Heritage lists of best practices drafted in February 2021 with the Heritage Action for America help. With their help, Jessica Anderson said Georgia became, quote, the example for the rest of the country. Georgia became the example for the rest of the country. So just as Mississippi became the example for the rest of the country in 1890, when the Mississippi, at the Mississippi State Convention, where they rewrote the Mississippi State Constitution to impose poll taxes and literacy tests to suppress the African-American vote. And this was in a state where African-Americans were the majority of the population and the majority of the voters in 1890. And it became known as the Mississippi Plan. Because we don't understand history, they're running that same game again. The Mississippi plan to keep blacks from voting in 1890. We came here to exclude the Negro. This is what they're doing again, except now they're targeting not just African Americans, but Latinos and Native Americans, Asian Americans, those most likely to vote Democratic. March 1st, 2021, the White County judge that presided over the Mississippi State Convention of 1890, his name was Solomon Saladin Calhoun. He said, let's tell the truth if it burst the bottom of the universe. We came here to exclude the Negro. Nothing short of this will answer. Delegates eventually adopted a literacy test and a poll tax geared to suppress the black vote in a state with a black majority. I'll be damned, how'd that happen? The Mississippi plan became the model throughout the South, part of a raft of racially oppressive Jim Crow laws that ended Reconstruction. So the backlash that we see in the state legislatures, the back is connected to the backlash against these false attacks on critical race theory, because critical race theory is not taught in K through 12 schools. But this is all a backlash to the protests, the social justice protests and Black Lives Matter protests that took place in summer 2020. And one of the problems is that we don't understand history enough to see these threats coming, to understand there's always a vicious white backlash when you have periods of time of perceived gains made by African Americans. There's always a white backlash. So if we look at this piece here that we've talked about here before on this show, but you have to understand how all this history comes together. November 1st, 1890, Mississippi Constitution, the Zen Education Project. And then what they do is they go through and they break this down. Let me see. Let me close this. Get a bunch of tabs open. Let's close some of these out here. All right. So what happens, and then the online class that I teach, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968, we get deep into this. We get deep into this history, and we look at some of these state constitutions that they rewrite after Reconstruction ends, because there were state constitutions that were rewritten during Reconstruction that were favorable to African Americans. After Reconstruction ends, these state constitutions get rewritten and impose segregation and impose laws to oppress African Americans. So what happens is, after Mississippi, after they pass, then after they write their new state constitution, then we see similar voter suppression statutes adopted by South Carolina in 1895, Louisiana in 1898, North Carolina 1900, Alabama 1901, Virginia 1901, Georgia 1908, Oklahoma 1910, and more. So history is repeating itself, but we don't understand history. So this is why a lot of this is able to take place. Because if we actually understood history, we would have launched targeted, sustained economic withdrawal strategies back in like July of 2021. This the history. If we actually understood history, first of all, we understood history, we never would have let Donald Trump become president. And this was what I was warning people about in 2016, leading up to the election, because I studied Richard Nixon in 1968, who ran on the platform of law and order and won the presidency. And he was a backlash to the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, the rebellions taking place all across the country. Affirmative action. Nixon was a backlash to all that. He was the white backlash to progress African Americans were making. And Donald Trump was a backlash to 2 terms of President Barack Obama in progress African Americans were making as well. And Donald Trump ran on the platform of law and order, And when Donald Trump became president, as we talked about on our show Sunday night, he reversed the criminal justice reform policies that the Obama administration put in place. So if we look at this right here, because we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, I'm going to play this segment from Reverend William Barber on MSNBC, because he breaks this down and he deals with an African-American female being nominated to the Supreme Court, but he also talks about the letter from the faith leaders calling on the NFL to move the 2023 Super Bowl out of Arizona. The leaked video, back to this article from Mother Jones, the leaked video reveals the extent to which the Heritage Foundation and the Heritage Action for America, their sister organization, is leading a massive campaign to draft and pass model legislation restricting voting access, which has been swiftly adopted this year in the battleground states of Georgia, Florida, and Arizona, and Iowa. It's no coincidence that so many GOP-controlled states are rushing to pass similar pieces of legislation in such a short period of time. Now, when you look at the 226 federal judges that Donald Trump got confirmed, most of those judges came from lists of names of potential federal judges that were submitted to Donald Trump from the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society. These people playing grandmaster level chess, and most of our people sitting up, they may claim they're woke, but they're sleepwalking because they don't understand none of this stuff. See, a lot of our people confuse being woke with sleepwalking. This is why I think we have to come up with a different term for activists, because a lot of people confuse activity with productivity. Those are two different things. All right, now, so this is what I just posted here on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. And this is from what's airing on the Black News Channel. Now, if you watch the Black News Channel, this is not an attack on the Black News Channel. I watch them, but it's some stuff that's just BS. This is from who? The Heritage Foundation. And they're talking about honoring Dr. King's legacy. And they have this website, levelupcivics.org. And they're talking about teaching civics and things like this. Well, wait a second. You all are funding voter suppression laws to dismantle Dr. King's legacy and John Lewis's legacy. But you got this BS running on the Black News Channel. And if people don't know any better, they'll fall for this nonsense. All right. I want to pull this clip up here. Let's see here. We've got this. Let's go to this. Let me cue this back up. So when you see that commercial from the Heritage Foundation, watch it. Okay. And we have to educate our people on this nonsense so they don't fall for this okie doke in 2022, the 2022 midterm election. Because they want to suppress our vote, because Republicans are not running on any policies that are beneficial to African Americans, generally speaking. They're going to run on critical race theory. They're going to run on voter suppression. They voted against the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. They voted against, all the Republicans in the House and the Senate voted against that. Most of them voted against the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. It was 19 Republicans in the House. So, yes, a bipartisan bill. It was some Republicans in the Senate that helped write the bill, but only 19 Republicans in the Senate voted for the bill. It's 50 Republicans in the Senate. There's about 212 Republicans in the House of Representatives. Only 13 Republicans in the House voted for the bill. The overwhelming majority of them voted against the bill. All the Republicans in the House and the Senate voted against the George Floyd Justice and Policing. Well, sorry, it didn't pass the Senate. It didn't get to the Senate. It was blocked by Tim Scott in the Senate, okay, in the negotiations. But the bill passed the House of Representatives by a vote of 220 to 212. 212 Republicans voted against the bill. All the Republicans voted against the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Basically, all the Republicans voted against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. That bill passed the House of Representatives August 2021 by a vote of 219 to 211. So you voting against voting rights bills. You voting against George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. All y'all voted against the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. They have $46.5 billion in rental assistance for renters and landlords. It had another round of PPP loans for businesses, so small businesses could stay open. It had money for schools, so schools could pay for better ventilation and schools could open back up. It had the $4 billion in debt forgiveness for African-American farmers and Latino farmers and Native American farmers. But then jealous white farmers sued. And now that debt forgiveness is tied up in court, is hung up. So you just go down the bill, you just go down one after one, look policy after policy after policy. Republicans overwhelmingly vote against all these policies that are beneficial to us. So what you going to run on in 2022 midterm elections? The big lie, the election was stolen, culture wars, critical race theory. This is what they're going to run on. Cutting taxes for the rich. All right, let's go to this clip here. This is Reverend William Barber on American Voices with Alicia Mendez. The Supreme Court needs to work for the people, but he also talks about the faith leaders putting pressure on the NFL. Let's go to this clip.
See, you make the case for me that this needs to be a main consideration.
Well, Alicia, right now, we are making our way to Washington, D.C. for the mass poor people's low-wage workers assembly moral march on Washington to the polls June 18th. And we're going to make sure the world and the country knows you can't ignore anymore 140 million poor and low-wealth people in this country. Our studies show that 45% of the electorate in battleground states where the difference was just 3% are poor and low-wealth people. The Supreme Court can determine who has power in this country. That's why we're watching this very carefully. The Supreme Court can gut, like it did the Voting Rights Act in 2013, and basically unleash voter suppression as it has since 2013. Or the Supreme Court can pass rulings that benefit corporations and give corporations more power to not only influence the election with more money than poor and low-wealth people have, but also to give corporations more power to block things like living wages. And so we are watching this very carefully. You know, we remember when Ms. Barrett was put on the court. A lot of people didn't take a look at it. She sided with corporations 76% of the time when she was in the Seventh Circuit. A lot of times Republicans say they're looking for abortion and prayer in the school, and against gay people. But look deeper. Almost all of the appointments of Republican presidents are those that side with corporation against poor and low-wage workers in this country.
Reverend, looking through the lens that you are providing, we're going to hear a lot about all of these potential nominees in the coming days, both their judicial records and their personal stories. Why is the lived experience so important?
Well, the lived experience and the judicial experience. You know, I'm sick and tired of people saying that this is an affirmative action pick. I mean, when Reagan said he was going to pick a woman, they didn't say that. When Trump said he was going to pick a woman, President Biden should just do it. He said he was going to do it. And this is not about being qualified. Black women have been qualified since Constance Baker and Pauli Murray and my dear friend Anita Earls and Cheryl Eiffel. I mean, could go down the list. This is about the affirmative inaction of the picks of presidents to never put a Black woman on the court. But as Thurgood Marshall said, yes, black must be considered, but also judicial philosophy. Because the question is, the person you want is a black woman with a judicial philosophy proven in their decision that they are serious about the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law, the 15th Amendment, the voting rights pieces, that they are serious about those laws in our Constitution that protect the people against the domination of a regressive majority or the domination of money and greed in this country. So lived experience and judicial experience is so critical. Should we be the president do it? Yes, do it. Time. Been past time. But as Thurgood Marshall and Pauli Murray said, we have to make sure we look not only at skin color and gender, because skin color and gender don't necessarily transfer into a kind of judicial philosophy that lifts up all people. And are those black women out there more than we can count? So yes, do it now, and let's place somebody on the court that cares about all people, judicially and personally.
Reverend, I want you to take a listen to Maine Senator Susan Collins earlier today talking about Biden's promise to nominate a black woman. Take a listen.
I would welcome the appointment of a black female to the court. I believe that diversity benefits the Supreme Court, but the way that the president has handled this nomination has been clumsy at best. It adds to the further perception that the court is a political institution like Congress when it is not supposed to be.
Reverend, you've already debunked that claim about this being clumsy and somehow political, given that Ronald Reagan made a similar promise, Donald Trump made a similar promise. I'm not going to ask you to debunk that again, but I do wonder what you think, what it is that Republicans are actually saying, what their actual resistance is.
Well, it's clear over the years. I mean, first of all, we've never had a black woman in history of the court, so this is actually ridiculous. And Senator Collins, all due respect, her needs to go somewhere and sit down and hush her mouth. She talking about diversity. She can't vote for voting rights. She's talking about diversity. She doesn't support living wages. So she's not really being honest here. And to suggest the president has fumbled this. Listen, the bottom line is it's time for the court to represent all Americans. What Republicans want is a black person that will vote their way. So they like a Clarence Thomas, but they couldn't stand, for instance, a Shirley Eiffel or an Anita Earls. Mm-hmm. And they want justices that will be black, but then will turn around and vote against the interest, the constitutional right, the constitutional interest of black people. And not just black people, brown people, and white people. That's why I think we have to also add this lens of economics, because a lot of people will holler diversity, but they mean the diversity that has that where you have differences but no change. No, they don't want to see the kind of change that needs to happen from a justice standpoint. So, and there is a fear. There is a fear of having a court that is going to take seriously, as I said, the 14th Amendment, take seriously the 15th Amendment, take seriously equal protection under the law, take seriously the First Amendment. So Senator Collins, her own record makes what she just said ridiculous. Now, lastly, but what I also say to the Biden administration is you cannot do this pick of a black woman and then stop fighting on voting rights and stop fighting on Build Back Better and stop fighting on child tax credits and stop fighting on living wages, because all of those things also impact the lives of poor and low-wealth black people, brown people, and white people. So this is a pick. Get it done, do it, but keep the fight going, because we need the courts and we need the legislative policies. It's both and, it's not either or.
Reverend, I only got a minute, but I got to make sure I get this in, because you tweeted last week that over 200 religious leaders, including yourself, have called on the NFL to remove the 2023 Super Bowl from Arizona because of the state's record on voting laws and its attempt to overturn the 2020 election. Tell me more.
If you're going to remove the Super Bowl because the state wouldn't honor the birthday of Dr. King, then you ought to remove it when the senators are not honoring the dream and the policies of Dr. King. Dr. King gave his life gave his life, and so did many others fighting for voting rights. The senator in Arizona is diametrically opposed to democracy, to America, not just for Black people. The fact that they have blocked voting, passing laws that would deal with voter suppression could hurt 55 million Americans, not just Black people, from having access to the polls that they had in 2020. There should be a price to pay for that. Move that Super Bowl. Faith leaders are saying it's the moral thing to do. We've got plenty of stadiums, and send a statement that you're not going to fund a state where a senator is diametrically opposed to the 15th Amendment. By the way, Alicia, the ratification of the 15th Amendment, the 152nd anniversary, is this coming Thursday, February the 3rd. 152 years ago, we said no one has the right to abridge, deny, or abridge the right to vote. And 152 years later, senators like the one in Arizona are engaged in abridging the right to vote. And there needs to be clear statements from everybody, the pulpit to the professional football. Everybody needs to be speaking out against this.
I appreciate that you don't even need to say her name. Reverend Barber, thank you so much for your time.
All right. So he was talking about Kirsten Sinema. He didn't want to say a name. No, I'll say a name here. I spell a name with 3 Ks, though. He was talking about Kirsten Sinema of Arizona. Okay. Now, I just posted this on Facebook as well. So earlier today on one of the shows on MSNBC, they were talking about, so now there are like 12 African-American women who are under consideration. Now, it's a good chance that it's going to be somebody who's already been confirmed by the U.S. Senate, because Ketanji Jackson has already been confirmed by the U.S. Senate. And J. Michelle Childs, her confirmation is coming up in a few days. Her Senate confirmation hearing is coming up in a few days. So you're going to hear more about this. Also, Supreme Court, it matters. But you got affirmative action case dealing with college admissions coming up with the Supreme Court. You have women's reproductive rights. You have a decision coming up on that probably before June of this year. So people don't understand the role of the courts. The courts interpret law from the legislative branch of government. The courts can strike down a law or uphold a law based upon the fact that it's unconstitutional or constitutional. Okay. So this is extremely important. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth upon resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Okay. Lastly, we're going to squeeze this in quickly. If you like, we're going to get to this story quickly here, dealing with A. Philip Randolph. If you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. And then we have the information right on the homepage of our website. We got the link there, Cash App and PayPal. This is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN Show, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael, shows my picture there. These other ones here are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. And be sure to register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. We have class number 1 starting up Saturday, February 5th, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, and then on Sundays, it's going to be from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Class number 1 starts up Sunday, February 6th, 2022. Okay. All right. So this story here dealing with A. Philip Randolph, president of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. This deals with January 25th, 1941, and A. Philip Randolph calling for a march on Washington. A march on Washington. Now, we're all familiar with the March on Washington, August 28th, 1963. A lot of people don't know A. Philip Randolph called for one in 1941 against President Roosevelt, because Roosevelt would not desegregate the jobs in the Department of Defense. And this led to the signing of Executive Order 8802. On January 25th, 1941, A. Philip Randolph, president of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters Union, made the official call for a march on Washington with the demand, made the official call for a march on Washington with the demand to end segregation in defense industries. The threatened march on Washington led to Executive Order 8802, stating that there should be no discrimination in the employment of workers in defense industries or government because of race, creed, color, or national origin. The March on Washington movement, MOWM, March on Washington movement, continued. A. Philip Randolph stated that the goal of the March on Washington movement was not just desegregation and an end to war. Unless, A. Philip Randolph said, unless the war sounds the death knell to the old Anglo-American empire systems, the hapless story of which is one of exploitation for the profit and power of a monopoly capitalistic economy, it will have been fought in vain. Our aim then must not only be to defeat Nazism, fascism, and militarism on the battlefield, but to win the peace, P-E-A-C-E, the peace for democracy, for freedom, and the brotherhood and sisterhood. Now, the March on Washington in 1963 also began with a focus on African American labor rights, as Bill Fletcher explains in Claiming and Teaching the 1963 March on Washington. So what happened was, the day before the march was supposed to take place, President Franklin Roosevelt, said he would sign Executive Order 8802 that desegregated the department, that desegregated the jobs in the Department of Defense. And A. Philip Randolph called off the march. If we look at this piece here, I talked about this in my presentation, in my lecture I did on Dr. King Day for Davis and Elkins College. If we look at this piece here from history.com very quickly here, March on Washington, it gives some background information lead up to the March on Washington in 1941. And we deal with all this also in my online class, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. In 1941, A. Philip Randolph, head of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters and an elder statesman of the Civil Rights Movement, had planned a mass march on Washington, D.C. to protest Black soldiers' exclusion from World War II defense jobs and New Deal programs. But a day before the event, President Roosevelt met with A. Philip Randolph and agreed to issue an executive order forbidding discrimination against workers in defense industries and government, establishing the Fair Employment Practice Committee, the FEPC, Fair Employment Practice Committee, to investigate charges of racial discrimination. In return, A. Philip Randolph called off the march. Now, in the mid-1940s, Congress cut off funding. In the mid-1940s, Congress cut off funding for the FEPC, and it dissolved in 1946, year after World War II ends. It would be another 20 years before the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, was formed to take on some of the same issues. The EEOC was created in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, because the Civil Rights Act wasn't just about public accommodations. The 1964 Civil Rights Act also prohibited discrimination when it came to employment as well. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission was created by the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Okay, so read this from history.com dealing with the March on Washington. All right, look, we got to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. African American business owners, email us at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have 3 new advertising packages We can get you up and running right away. We have the information on our website, also AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Current promotion, buy 1 month, get 2 months free. We have a few advertising slots left. Email us at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com for more information. All right. Remember, right now is correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you later.